want to talk to you very briefly about competitions and is there a role for competitions in education. Now, you might be surprised to know that not everybody thinks competitions are good. And in fact, from the research we've done so far, and bear in mind we only take into account feedback from countries which have a mixed view. Some countries give us feedback saying, yeah, everybody says it's wonderful. Well, we don't believe that because it's impossible for a whole country for everybody to say it's wonderful. So we ignore this kind of feedback. But we do take into account feedback, whether it's positive or negative. So when we basically were asking people, parents, teachers, school owners, whether or not they found competitions were good or bad, what do you think the response was? Those of you who think that everybody thought it was good, raise your hand. Oh, okay, great. This might surprise you. 64% said, yes, competitions are good, but a very large number, 36%, said, no, we don't think competitions are good. Yeah? Surprised? No. Yeah? Some people say no, some people yes. I think we were surprised at the number of no's. And we were also confused, to be honest, because many of the people who said no were participating in the competition. So that was quite difficult. I remember one school from Malaysia, I won't mention the name of the school, and they wrote a very long description of their views about competitions and why they thought competitions were not really valid for schools. And some very valid points from their view, okay, you have to take those on board. However, what confused us was they had registered 80 participants for the contest. And when we asked them, this is all very interesting, could you please help us understand why therefore you decided to register 80 participants? The answer was, because that's what other schools are doing. So it can be quite mixed feedback you get as well. So what do some of those people who say no, what do they believe? They believe that competition is basically dog eats dog, yes? So that when, for example, you're chased by a bear, you don't need to outrun the bear, but you just need to outrun your friend. And that is one way of viewing competitions, yes? But others say, for example, too much stress can leave children feeling disappointed, yeah? When you ask students if they find competition useful for motivation, a huge percentage said yes, which is quite different from what we got from teachers and schools. So, just to finish up, basically, we feel that it can be a welcome change. Competition can be a welcome change from the curriculum. It can be motivating, useful, for feedback to parents, students, schools. It allows students to take risks in non-high-stake environments. That's really important, I think. Yes. And allows weaker students to do well and boost confidence. It's really important that weaker students participate. You just never know what's going on in people's minds and in children's minds. I'll just give you one very brief example. In Bulgaria, we had a student, Liana, who she actually got into stage 2 of competition last year, and her parents were so delighted because at school, the teachers always say she's a brilliant student. She failed every examination she took, every examination. And they asked her, how come you've done so well here and yet you failed every exam and yet you do really well in class? And she said, it's because my parents don't have to pay much money for this. So when she was taking an exam, she felt, my parents, it's very important. It's really essential that I do well. And she didn't do well. So, is there a role in education? We believe there is a role. But the focus must be on the individual and not on the competitor. Yes? So on that note, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the day.